back. This is Chicken Philosophy, the Tao Te Ching, Part 10. And I don't know how it is in China, but where I come from, 10 is a significant number. And I think because humans have 10 fingers, it's probably pretty universal among humans. Anyway, so, in which I will pick up right where Edward left off. The Chikung episode, remember, with all the noise? It's a little bit of noise today, but not too much. Have you noticed anything reflecting in my glasses that's new and more light coming from this side? It is daytime now, so there's that. Anyway, all right. So it's good. It's good. Looking forward to this. Let's do our thing, shall we? Today's beverage is a little bit of green tea. See if I can do this without spilling too much, or at the very least without spilling it on the silk kimono. Yes. Cheers. Oh, there's a little thing here. I'm pretty sure this is the tea set that I picked up when I was in Shanghai, which was fun. Let's make that the end screen just for shits and giggles. It's a Chinese episode after all. So, why not, right? Okay. And for the incense, got a little bit of Japanese infusion in our Chinese episode, I admit. What with the kimono and the Morning Star incense. What can you do? Lovely as always. Cedar wood, Morning Star brand. Worth it. It's worth it. Maybe you can find it online if you're not near like a place where they sell things like this. Okay. Without further ado, let's pull the I Ching card and find out what our guiding light, our guiding compass, our guiding wisdom, something to keep in mind for the episode and perhaps for the day, will be. We're down to these cards. All the other I Ching figures we've pulled in previous episodes. I'm going to be simple and just cut it once. And we have broken, solid, broken, triple solid. Also known as figure 16. Editor Edward, if you would, please turn up the volume on the music while I look that one up. U. Why U with two dots over the U? Like the U in Schlench-Neuenheimer. If you don't know Schlench-Neuenheimer, Bahama Song is a good introduction. Before there was a Gwydion. Never mind. U. Enthusiasm. Proper enthusiasm opens every door. And it takes all of my strength, all of the strength I can muster not to make a dirty innuendo about that. So I'll let you make it by telling you that there is one. In case you missed it, I'll read it again. Proper enthusiasm opens every door. All 8 of them. Surely not those 4.
Naturally not those 4.
Never mind. It's a good one. I like it. I was feeling blank. I wasn't necessarily feeling like recording. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I want to record. It's time. But this time I was like, should I? Do I want to? But then I was like, I'm fine with it. It's not that I don't want to. And I feel that since it's Tao Te Ching, that being in a state of sort of gentle, relaxed neutrality on the subject of recording this episode was a good place to come from. So for me, it's interesting, the contrast between enthusiasm, you, and the state of mind with which I went into this today. Okay, let's get to the reading and see where it goes. Chapter 59. In governing a people and in serving heaven, there is nothing like frugality. To be frugal is to return before straying. I recently watched, I'm a huge fan of Devo, and I'm also a little bit inspired by, like, even though the lyrics and there's certain things like they do go into it's like they're doing the opposite of what David Lynch does, where David Lynch doesn't want to explain his art. And right now in their twilight years, the three remaining members of the original band are just sitting down and saying, oh yeah, we did that because this happened, and we did that using this, and this is what I was thinking. And Jerry's girlfriend at the time was, like they just sort of like a different me, a younger me might feel that they're taking the magic away. I remember a time I used to go driving with my dad. I mean, he would drive. I was too young to drive at the time. And we'd drive through the mountains listening to like Pat Metheny, Tangerine Dream, a lot of the stuff that's familiar to you on this program. And then one day I heard, I was flipping through and I saw Pat Metheny performing one of the tracks that we would listen to driving up in the mountains. He's talking about astral stuff and vortexes, and sometimes there'd be these long silences where I'm gazing out the window at the trees going by. Sometimes I'd fall asleep, and in kind of a half asleep state I'd have this like sort of, for lack of a better word, astral experience or some kind of otherworldly experience while that music was playing. And then I saw the band, their faces, their hair. I saw them playing, and a particular riff that I'd never really before registered was coming from a guitar. I was like, oh, that's a guitar. And he was playing those familiar notes that were so deeply familiar in my bones. And he was playing it, and he was going... And I was so mad. It's hard to describe. Like, I try to explain it to a friend of mine, the only other person that I know that's approximately my age, who knows who Pat Metheny is. And he was like, yeah, no, they're a great band. And I was like, yeah, but, oh, never mind. I can't explain what I'm trying to express. But, like, so that me, that younger 20, 30 years ago me, wouldn't have been able to stomach seeing old man Devo, just sort of like laying to waste. Yeah, well, we were having this problem with the studio, and so what we ended up doing was this, and we were like, you know what, fuck it. And I was thinking this, and so I thought that, and so, but I appreciate it now, because it's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm laying bare the bones. I don't like being mysterious anymore, Like, I'd rather people love me or hate me based on the actual reality of who I am and why I am that way. And so instead of just, being this guy or this guy or even this guy and letting people project whatever they want to, or just think, oh, he's phony, or oh, if he's genuine, he must be like this. I just explain it all. Like, okay, here's what happened. These were my parents, and then it led to this, and then one day, you know what I mean? And somehow that related to what I just read. Now, the mystery is how? What made me go off on that tangent? To return before straying is to have a... Wait. To be frugal is to return before straying. Oh, right. Yeah. So in their recent... the recent Devo video that they put out, where they were explaining my favorite album by them. It was the first album, so of course it was going to be my favorite, but it's other people's favorite too. I saw a guy post saying his favorite album was Oh No, It's Devo, followed very shortly, like his second favorite is Duty Now for the Future, and the most underrated and profound track on I think Duty Now is Patterns. And I just replied yes, because everything he said I matched. Like, I could have written that, but someone else wrote that, and it's kind of like interesting and affirming to be like, someone else has my exact same opinion on that subject. But if I didn't point already, I might have. If I pointed already, then nothing appeared the second time. But in that video, they were talking about how when they started to become successful, that what they did was they took all that money that they got and they gave themselves the salary of a California public school teacher, because that was kind of where what they considered themselves to be doing. And they, they didn't explain beyond that, but you can kind of click, like, oh, so they didn't want to be rock stars. They didn't want to have the rock star lifestyle, and talking about frugality. But the rest of that money, they invested back into the band. They invested back into the music videos. They invested, like, there was some supercomputer they only had at the Pentagon, and they had another one just like it, and they had to sign an NDA before using it and all this other stuff. Just to, in like 1982, be able to make this using CGI. And nowadays, something like that, you just like tell AI, describe it or whatever, and it just sort of spit it out. But back then, it was like an overheating, large room-sized supercomputer generated that for the beginning of one of their videos. So anyhow, yeah, big inspiration for me. And continuing. For those who are new, I try to only read 6 chapters on these because I want to make the Tao Te Ching series last longer, so I feel more free to interrupt and go off on side tangents if something pops into my head. So that's what's happening here. If you want to read it, by all means, get yourself a copy and quietly read it by yourself. This is chicken philosophy. That's not what you're going to get here. It's not audiobooks, books on tape. It's more commentary than book a lot of the times. Okay. To be frugal is to return before straying. To return before straying is to have a double reserve of virtue. To have a double reserve of virtue is to overcome everything. To overcome everything is to reach an invisible height. Only he who has reached an invisible height can have a kingdom. Or nepotism. It's like, but, Tao Te Ching is saying, like, it's like when Lord Buddha says, you're not a Brahmin just because your father was a Brahmin. You have to behave like this and think like this and prioritize like this. But the reality is you're technically a Brahmin if your father was a Brahmin. I think they both have to be Brahmins and married, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I get the idea. It's similar with them. Only he who has got the mother, with a capital M, meaning the Tao, I think, of a kingdom, can last long. This is the way.
This is the way.
To be deep-rooted and firm planted in the Tao, the secret of long life and lasting vision. 60. Ruling a big kingdom is like cooking a small fish. When a man of Tao reigns over the world, demons have no spiritual powers. Oh, there's a beautiful line from, I remember it being part of Fukan Zazengi, but I don't think it is. It's from something else, or it's from like a revision of Fukan Zazengi that he wrote later or something. I don't know. Maybe it's in Shobogenzo somewhere, but I'm pretty sure it was Master Dogen, Eihei Dogen, who said that even upon seeing an image of a person in the state of deep meditation, the king of demons is afraid. How much more will he be afraid when you yourself sit in lotus position and enter that deep state? It's kind of inspiring, right? I don't know. A little bit, maybe. Whatever. Unless you're one of those demon huggers. Whatever. Yeah, Skeletor's the good guy in the woke Disneyfied version, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. About what? I don't know. Whatever might bother you. When a man of Tao, we read that. Not that the demons have no spiritual powers, but the spirits themselves do no harm to men. You know, like Wicked, or like, you know, the Wicked Witch is actually misunderstood, you know, that whole trend. I mean, not to say that there isn't any value to, like, questioning and considering the other side. Like, what if, well, look at it from Lilith's point of view, and what if the demons are actually just misunderstood? And like, yeah, okay. I'm not knocking that. I'm just a little bit okay. Like, if you want to speak a language, if you're trying to convey an idea, like there was a point where, like, my dad used to say, you know, that there was a problem. One of the core problems with American identity was the idea of the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That when Thomas Jefferson penned those words in 18th century English meant the pursuit of happiness meant living your life in a way that would produce as much serenity as possible for yourself and everyone around you. Where nowadays, happiness is something penultimate, orgasmic, and unreachable, and pursuing it means chasing after it. And so people have a misunderstanding of the Declaration of Independence. And then there was a certain point where, like, yeah, and he fucked his slaves. And so at a certain point, I wasn't able to make that point anymore about Thomas Jefferson and what he meant when he was writing the Declaration of Independence, because nobody cared what Thomas Jefferson thought because of the aforementioned reasons. You know what I mean? So similarly, if we're talking about demons and we're talking about, like yesterday when Gwydion was talking about, you know, yeah, drink your own poison, Satan. Like, that's from the perspective of Saint Benedict, from like a normative spiritual language of Catholicism, in which Satan is not your friend. You know, like, not talking about, like, you know, the fuzzy character from, you know, the cute Satan from modern Satanism. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I get it. That exists too. It's like, I can talk in terms of this and also acknowledge that. But while I'm talking in terms of this, it would, like, if every 2 seconds, it's like that scene in Monty Python. I mean, it's a controversial scene now, and John Cleese's comments about it show his age. But, you know, the whole thing about, you know, that every man or woman must himself or herself. Oh, what was I talking about? Like, at a certain point, you can't like effectively communicate if you have to stop and clarify that each word in its particular context isn't meant to offend anyone who uses that word in another context. You know what I mean? It's just is what it is. Some people will hear the communication and some people have too many blocks and they'll go, Oh, but John Cleese is anti-trans, and he's defending J.K. Rowling, and Thomas Jefferson's a naughty, naughty boy. So therefore, you're full of shit, Edward. Okay, first of all, it's BT. You can tell by this thing. Avir harim zalul kayayin. Gwydion got a little loose with the Rammstein and the Jew talk, so I'm just trying to balance it out. That's an actual Zionist love song from the 60s about one day we'll be able to walk from the river to the sea without any of these fuckers standing in our way. Okay, bad example. I didn't just point to my wiener. There was a thing for the people who haven't maximized the screen. There was a anti-war thing down there, but better Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadoshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel chicken philosophy. Right? That's our holiday for right now. It's not Shabbat. It's not Hanukkah. So anyway, where were we? It doesn't matter. No, it matters, so we can pick up there. Not that the spirits do not harm men, but the sage himself does no harm to his people. Right. If only the ruler and his people would refrain from harming each other, all the benefits of life would accumulate in the kingdom. Yeah. Okay. If the ruler and his people would refrain from harming each other. So, don't cut off my head, says King Louis the 16th. It's just a guess. I'm not a big French Revolution buff. Not even a little one, but you can't help but pick up little bits of information, right? Pierre something, the guillotine something. Ben Franklin, I don't know. 61. A great country is like the lowland toward which all streams flow. It is the reservoir of all under heaven, the feminine of the world, with a capital F. The feminine always conquers the masculine by her quietness. Someone should slip Carl Jung a copy of the Tao Te Ching so he can amend his assumptions with which he interpreted the secret of the golden flower. Which was Taoist alchemy, so fucking why? Why did you make the woman the bad guy? Why is she the villain? Oh, well, she's just an earthly thing, just basically a shell that goes back into the earth. The masculine is the pure spirit, the mind, the mental. You know how it is with men and women. Lao Tzu doesn't. You know, the Taoism guy, Carl. Sorry. I had a flashback. I had a Secret of the Golden Flower flashback. It won't happen again. Secret of the Golden Flower. If you want to hear more of that, 80 some odd hours of me talking like that. No, I don't know how many hours. It's 38 episodes, average 45 minutes. You can do the math. 27 hours, let's say. Yes, by her quietness, by lowering herself through her quietness. Hence, if a great country can lower itself before a small country, it will win over the small country. And if a small country can lower itself before a great country, it will win over the great country. The one wins by stooping, the other by remaining low. Now, I don't know about all that. I'm inclined to say it was a different time. I think anybody who's watched the news for 5 minutes can think of 12 different examples of how that would not work and has not worked. I mean, okay, yeah, if you kiss the ass of the big country, then you're less likely to get invaded by it. What a great country wants is simply to embrace more people. That's not what anybody wants. And what a small country wants is simply to come to serve its patron. Thus, each gets what it wants, but it behooves a great country to lower itself. Little bit of a weird pickup line there, Lao Tzu, but maybe in ancient China it would have worked. And maybe it loses something in the translation. 62. The Tao is the hidden reservoir of all things. A treasure to the honest. It is a safeguard to the erring. Like people who are fucking up, basically E-R-R-I-N-G. A good word will find its own market. A good deed may be used as a gift to another. That a man is straying from the right path is no reason that he should be cast away. Hence, at the enthronement of an emperor, or at the installation of the 3 ministers, let others offer their discs of jade, following it up with teams of horses. It is better for you to offer the Tao without moving your feet. Why did the ancients prize the Tao? It is not because by virtue of it he who seeks finds. Is it not because by virtue of it he who seeks finds, and the guilty are forgiven? That is why it is such a treasure to the world. Oh, kind of like Jesus with the whole forgiveness thing. 63. Do the non-ado. Remember non-ado? Wu Wei? No, Wu Shin? No, yeah, Wu Wei. Wu Wei. Yeah, I think. I hope. Do the non-ado. That's the opposite. That's the opposite of doing the non-ado. So whatever, like, take that doing the do and reverse it. Undo the do. Do the do backwards. Strive for the effortless. You see, striving is a kind of effort. Effort for the effortless, you know. People say, I desire to be in a state of non-desire. I'm attached to the outcome of non-attachment. People say, isn't that a paradox? Lao Tzu is just saying, yeah, it's a fucking paradox. Do it anyway. Savor the savorless. Exalt the low. Multiply the few. That's just math. It's a good idea. Depending, you could upset the ecosystem that way, but let's not think too much about it. Requite injury with kindness, because in doing so you're heaping hot coals upon their head. St. Paul. No, I don't think that's where Lao Tzu was going with it, St. Paul. Don't be weird. Nip troubles in the bud. Sow the great in the small. Don't be dirty. This is BT, not Gwydion talking, so we shouldn't blurt out every disgusting thing that pops into our head. I'll read it again. Sow the great in the small. It's not good. It's... Okay, but what does he mean? I don't know. I can only think of the innuendo. Yeah, it's the only thing that comes to mind. I'll work on that. I'll meditate on that one. Difficult things of the world can only be tackled when they are easy. I mean, yeah, there is a time. There's timing for sure. But it sounds a little paradoxical. If it's easy, it's not difficult. But it's difficult 99% of the time. But at a particular moment, there was to share something personal, but they both passed away a long time ago. My grandmother on my dad's side would drink, and and one day my mom told my dad, like, hey, if you call her at 5, you guys have a great conversation. It's when you call her at 6 that, you guys have an argument. And he's like, why is that? And he's like, well, because she starts drinking around 4:30, 5, and then she's nice and loose. And then you call her and you have a great conversation. But if you give it another hour, then she starts to get into a sour mood, and then you guys have a fight. And he tested it. He tried it at 5 a couple times, and then just to see if it worked, he called her at 6, and sure enough, they had a fight. So yeah, sometimes the difficult things are easy if you do it at the right time, or do it when it's easy. Right? Makes sense? Sometimes that requires patience, awareness, observation. Like, if you want to ask something, if you're like trying to get the okay for something, maybe permission isn't the right word, but maybe it is. And, like there's a way to ask where, like, if you ask like you're expecting a problem, then that's a problem. And if you ask like you're pretty sure there isn't a problem, like, oh, I was going to do this. That's cool, right? Yeah. There's no reason not to. But you have to also do it at the right time. Not when the person just woke up. Not, you know what I mean? Like once they've had their coffee, it's settled in, and they're starting to like, so I was going to do this. Okay, cool. But first thing in the morning, like, would you be okay with it if I did this today? That's making an easy thing difficult. Little small things to improve your life. Little life hacks that maybe are obvious, but not to everyone. So. Plus, it's Tao Te Ching, so I'm going out of my way to say whatever pops into my head. You hear the noise pollution yet? Well, just a little small, a little bit. Big things of the world can only be achieved by attending to their small beginnings. Well, that's true, yeah. Thus, the sage never has to grapple with big things. Yet, he alone is capable of achieving them. He who promises lightly must be lacking in faith. He who thinks everything easy will end by finding everything difficult. Yeah, keep that in mind if you're raising a kid and you're telling them that they're naturally gifted. And, oh, this is just easy for you. Other kids have to work hard, but you just know it. You don't even have to try. So they might end up like me, and you don't necessarily want that. Therefore, the sage who regards everything as difficult meets with no difficulties in the end. I'm going to read one more because I'm going to be enthusiastic. Should I close here? No. Let's read one more with enthusiasm. 64.
Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Absolutely not, Paul. That's too old. Just kidding, obviously. He's like 100 now, right? What is at rest is easy to hold. What manifests no omens is easily forestalled. What is fragile is easily shattered. What is small is easily scattered. I like it when people make things rhyme in English when they weren't originally written in English, which makes me a little suspicious that maybe the meaning is being compromised for a rhyme, or maybe it was just a coincidence. It's not like the whole thing rhymes. Tackle things before they have appeared. I've probably told you about this before, but Gordon gave me this advice. And it makes me so mad when this happens. And he's like, okay, when you see that it's about to happen, when you see it starting to happen, when you know that that thing that makes you angry is happening or is about to happen, and you notice the very beginning of your anger, just pinch it out right then before it manifests. Because once it starts to grow, then it's hard. Then there's an inertia, and then you have to push back, and you have to go punch a pillow and scream into it, and isolate yourself or risk being inappropriate or yelling or even just giving the wrong facial expression. It's good advice, right? Tackle things before they have appeared. Cultivate peace and order before confusion and disorder have set in. A tree as big as a man's embrace springs from a tiny sprout. Doesn't it, though? A tower 9 stories high begins with a heap of earth. A journey of 1,000 leagues starts from where your feet stand. I've heard the journey of however long, however many thousand, begins with a single step, but before that single step, it begins from what he said. He who fusses over anything spoils it. He who grasps anything loses it. The sage fusses over nothing and therefore spoils nothing. Stop fussing over nothing. Nothing is my favorite thing. Don't spoil it. See what I did there? He grips at nothing and therefore loses nothing. In handling affairs, not those affairs, people often spoil them just at the point of success. Well, maybe it is those kind of affairs. No, either way. With heedfulness in the beginning and patience at the end, nothing will be spoiled. Therefore, the sage desires to be desireless. You were there. I don't need to tell you. Sets no value on rare goods. Learns to unlearn his learning. And induces the masses to return from where they have overpassed. Like Martin Luther. Oh, different mass. He only helps all creatures to find their own nature, but does not venture to lead them by the nose. Editor Edward, could you read that little bit from the Cromlech thing that I'm thinking of? Consider now the master's own words. Other sheep I have which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring. Feed my sheep. We forbade him because he followeth not with us. Forbid him not. Feed my sheep. Brother, in these words of his, the master speaks of these. Now look back and see how thou thyself hast drawn nigh unto him. It was by one of the most perfect expressions of his divine spirit, the formularies of the Catholic Church. This was the step that lay before thee, and thou didst mount thereon and find the Lord. highly privileged wert thou, for there is no other road whereby so rapidly or so nearly approach to him may be won. This step is a white stone, but if thou should make a fetish thereof, as the Muslims do of the Kaaba, and say there is no other way, thou wouldst greatly err. For herein do men often confound what is useful discipline, and of immense value to those who are at the stage to profit thereby, with the absolute essential of the Master's teaching and the new revelation. These limitations are easy, therefore dear to the human hearts of human teachers. Very easy it is to say, my way is the only way, walk ye in it. Very hard it is to see the way that lies before another, and to aid him to walk in the path that the Master has traced before him. Much easier to force him, if it may be, to walk in thy path. Much easier, but not the Master's method. Forbid him not, because he walketh not with you. Now, what said the Master is the highest duty? Be not afraid, only believe, over and over again reiterated. And what is belief or faith? The evidence of things not seen. They then who put all their trust in what they can see and touch and handle and examine, the agnostics, the rationalists, and the like, these are they who offend the Master, and any touch of faith that can be given to them is a service to him. But they who strive to believe, who are straining their eyes into the darkness to obtain the evidence of things not seen, all these, though they see falsely and imperfectly, yet are they on the road to the knowledge of the Master. Hence have all the mystic and supernatural religions the germs of truth more or less developed, and all are energizing upward, all materializing, denying, doubting religions, whereof are most of those which termed themselves reformed, tending away from the Master. Thou shouldst call nothing common or unclean. That man or woman who seeks a good or fancied good, be it what it may, even if it be merely sensual lust, which to him or her appears the best thing, is, all unknown to him or herself, seeking him, the Master. The soul is young, the ideal is low and primitive. Nevertheless, it is an ideal. By degrees will higher ideals be substituted for low ones. Feed my lambs, the Master said, not drive them into your own favorite pastures. Thank you, Editor Edward. So that was something, there's like, it's one of those things like the Carl Jung Black books, like we don't know exactly, was there another person there? What was he doing? He didn't say. So that particular document was like something that was channeled by somebody in the cult, presumably not the leader, as a message to the leader from Shemesh, not from a guide from beyond, to let him know, yeah, you're Catholic. That's great for you. Could you stop trying to make everybody else in the cult Catholic? Because some of us just worship pussy, you know. I mean, well, he did kind of say that. Not in those exact words, but like, you know, saying like if that's the highest that a person can imagine, the highest ideal that they can imagine, you know, aspiring to is sensual lust, then encourage them. I mean, as long as they're not doing immoral, illegal things, you know, and manipulating, you know, like using those like how to pick up chicks with all the right keywords. Make sure they're standing over here, their back is to the door, make sure their friends are over there and your friends are over there. Don't be too close to their friends or they'll wander off, and like, you know, make sure again, then buy them another drink and then laugh and then walk toward the door and then, you know, like, then they'll sleep with you. You know, it's like, okay, memorize these steps. 15 simple steps to get laid. Like, if they're doing that shit, then it's kind of like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, maybe discourage that. But, yeah, you know what I mean. I'm overthinking it, over-explaining. But, like, yeah, no, the Cromlech document was nice. Basically saying, you know, lead the sheep, don't lead them into your own favorite pasture. I have a better idea. Don't lead sheep. Don't have sheep. Don't be a shepherd. Just be yourself, man. Live your life as best you can. And if somebody glances over and notices how you're living your life in a good way and it inspires them to live their life in a good way, good. That's their own business. If you're going around trying to be an influencer in a non-ironic way, not as like I'm going to make money putting on, you know, clothes or whatever on the TV phone. What am I saying? I'm not saying anything. Nothing really. Just talking. With enthusiasm? I don't know. I feel like, I mean, okay, these I Ching figures are like messages. It doesn't mean, yes, congratulations, you have enthusiasm. Maybe it's a reminder to have more enthusiasm, or an invitation to allow more enthusiasm to manifest itself from within or from without or whatever. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's all good. I hope that you enjoyed today's reading. And this has been the Tao Te Ching on Chicken Philosophy. The white and yellow petals part of the chicken wheel. Next time it'll be blue and green, as it will be Edward reading from the Meccan Revelations. So, we'll see you then. I hope you have a good one. And, alright. The Shanghai video's in the end screen. Check it out. It's fun.